It Matters, presented by Hilton. Hilton for the stay. The Sweet 16 is set, and we have a showdown in the Motor City on tap as Creighton faces Tennessee. And Creighton, this is a team that has high aspirations come March, looking to get to the program's first ever Final Four. The Jays have multiple playmakers, and Mason Miller here stepped up when called upon in the tournament. His 10 points in the first round against Akron were key to Creighton's win. A Miller knocking down threes. It feels like we've seen this before, right? Well, we have. The sophomore forward is the son of Gator great and NBA champ Mike Miller. Looking at the Midwest region for the Sweet 16, you see Creighton and Tennessee. That goes down on Friday. If the Blue Jays advance, they will then play the winner of Purdue and Gonzaga. Creighton trying to get to the Elite Eight in back-to-back seasons. And let's welcome in Gator legend and two-time NBA champ Mike Miller. Mike, we just talked about your son, and we'll talk about your experience in the NCAA tournament in just a moment. But I want to know what it's been like watching your son, watching as a dad, because I can imagine the emotions are a little bit different when you're watching from that perspective.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's brutal at the same time. It's a different experience. It's not completely out of your control, and you put all the time and effort in, and the teams put all this time and effort in, and you go in these NCAA tournaments, and the ebbs and flows of NCAA tournaments. Obviously, I've lived them, but now as a fan, it's way worse without the control. But it's been a lot of fun. The family's enjoyed it. And now we're excited for this weekend as well.
Yeah, you talked about the ebbs and flows and how you've experienced it. You went to the national championship game with the Gators in 2000 under Billy Donovan. So take us back to that time. What is it like playing in the NCAA tournament?
It's one of the best experiences you ever have, and obviously going on and playing 17 seasons in the NBA, it's some of the NCAA tournament moments that we talk about the most. And so it's just the unknown, I think, is what makes it so interesting. And it's the one game, right? So, you get in the NBA and it's a 7-game series, best of 7, and the best teams usually win. That's not the case in the NCAA tournament. Just everyone coming together in that ride for that 3-4 weeks is just one of the best times in basketball.
Yeah, it's survive and advance. We always love a good Cinderella story, so maybe that is the same. But what has changed? What are the noticeable differences to you from 99, 2000 to now in 2024 when it comes to March Madness?
Well, I mean, teams are getting a lot older. The experience matters. Physicality matters. Those young teams making those runs like we did at Florida, it just doesn't happen as much anymore. So it's just the NIL, the transfer portal, all of those things kind of coming together has made it a lot different, and it's making it to where you're seeing even this year it's a lot of heavy chalk teams there, because the mid-major schools, although play really good and they're playing hard, a lot of their best players are going to the teams that are playing now in the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight. So it's a heavy chalk teams. It's older teams. I think Creighton's roster is old. Tennessee's roster we play is old. So just a lot of older basketball, and it's making for good basketball and competitive basketball, but it's just different for sure.
And Mike, you mentioned NIL, the transfer portal in relation to the tournament, but how do you think that is going to impact the future of college basketball as a whole?
Well, I think it impacts it a lot. I mean, it's really everything. For coaching, for teams. I mean, every summer, the way it seems right now, I don't know if it'll change much. It seems like it's for NBA free agency. So, I don't know if there's a right or a wrong answer to it. It's like anything in life. It's a trickle down. So, the high school kids are getting impacted by it. Mid-major schools are getting impacted by it. Obviously, the high major schools are impacted by it as well, because you're always living in that transfer portal, which means you're not recruiting some high school kids. So it's a trickle down effect for sure. NIL is definitely a trickle down effect, because high major schools are talking to a lot of these mid-major teams that have stars in their teams, and they come in and fit and help with the run. So everyone's kind of being impacted by it. It's going to be interesting to see the next 2 or 3 years how it all kinds of evens out. I don't know if we should overreact right now, but there's definitely going to be a change in the game. You're seeing it already, and I don't know if there's an easy answer to it, but it's it's making for some interesting basketball for sure.
Yeah, the landscape of college sports in general has been changing all across the board. I want to circle back to your run with the Gators, because you did that. You went to the national championship game. You were drafted by the Magic, went on to win 2 NBA titles with the Heat. Walk us through that transition, what it was like going from college hoops to the NBA.
Different. A lot like some of these kids probably walking into a college team now. It's you're 18, 19 years old going in there and playing with men and with families, and it's a different aspect. It's a different game. The speed of the game's different. It's no more people holding your hands like in college. Your schedules are set. You got a lot of free time. So it's just you turn into a pro really, really quick. You turn into an adult really, really quick. You try to do that in college as much as possible, but it's just not there. There's too much help there for you. So, NBA basketball is just a different game, but it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. And obviously it's been my entire life, really.
Let's circle back to your alma mater. Let's talk about the Gators this season. It was a fun season to watch, getting to the SEC championship game for the first time in nearly a decade. Unfortunately, we saw a first-round exit for UF. But what do you think the future of Gator basketball looks like under Todd Golden? Do you see a Final Four, a deep run in the near future for the Gators?
Yeah, I love what Todd's doing. I think he's done a really good job. Listen, the SEC, and with all the stuff that we talked about already on here with NIL and transfer portal, coming in here and doing things and changing programs and doing stuff is difficult. So, I'm excited about where he's at. I had some time. I had a chance to spend some time down there, a couple of days down there before the season started. So, seeing where he's at, how he works. I love the team that he had. Unfortunately, like you talked about, losing the SEC championship in the first round, but it was such a good game against Colorado. So, it's just building on it now, right? You got a little bit of momentum, building on it, continue getting better, finding those recruits, finding, those transfer portal kids. I think University of Florida is always going to put himself in a position to succeed, but it's tough. So he's done a great job so far, and I'm excited to see where he takes it.
We know you've seen the Gators. You've also seen the Heat this season. You know about Heat culture more than anyone. And you won 2 titles with Miami, as we mentioned. You're getting a look at the Eastern Conference standings right there. Miami, they're in that 7th spot, trying to avoid the play-in. We know playoff Jimmy is a real thing, Mike, and the Heat ramp things up this time of the year. What is the ceiling for this Miami team, in your opinion?
As far as to the championship, I guarantee you right now, those teams at 1 and 2 and even 3 are going to be watching what Miami's doing. They do not want that for a first-round matchup. With Coach Spo, obviously you talked about Jimmy, but they're so talented. Bam, Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier. So I don't think that anyone wants to see those guys, and I guarantee you, and they'd be lying if they told you differently. They're watching to see where the Heat land. So these next 9, 10, 11 games in the East are going to be very, very important, not just for Miami, but for those teams up there at the top of the Eastern Conference standings, because a first-round matchup with the Miami Heat is definitely not something you look forward to. Yeah,
we know Jimmy Buckets and Spo should never be counted out. 2-time NBA champ Mike Miller joining us here talking college hoops and March Madness. Thanks so much, Mike, and good luck to your son in Creighton.
Thank you so much. It's going to be fun. Appreciate you.
And for more college hoops conversations, make sure you check out the Eye on College Basketball podcast. Matt Norlander, GP. They got you covered with all of the storylines, updates from the tournament. You can download and listen wherever you find your pods, or you can scan that QR code on your screen.